Chief Secretary of SOGEM, an economic empowerment group working in Zimbabwe, doing so much work in terms of raising entrepreneurs and economic models. Let's put our hands together for Dr. Eccles.
Good morning to everyone. Thank you so much. All protocol observed. I was introduced to a number of dignitaries in front of me here. Unfortunately, I did not have the paper to write down the names so that I can follow the protocol. And anyway, in business, we don't do all those detailed protocols like in politics. However, all protocol observed. I feel honored to be in this platform today because it is to do with business and economy, which is my lifetime brand. And let's get to know that even the Bible says those who did not work must not eat. And we work through companies, work through enterprises for our economy so that we can create wealth for our nations. That is why I honored this invitation. Thank you so much. I would like to welcome Dr. Ron, all the way from the States. Welcome, my brother. We love you. In the name of Jesus.
Amen.
Thank you. I would like to observe also the presence of our Bishop, Bishop Nyabanga. I could not forget that. Thank you so much. Right, I'm from an organization called SEDI, S-E-D-I, SOGEM Economic Development Institute. And we are into investments, ownership, and productivity. And we believe that entrepreneurs are the ones that move civilizations. God communicates to entrepreneurs to create new products for innovation, so that these products make us to have a good life expectancy, so that we live longer. We are safe. I mean, the mic is this is a product of entrepreneurship. This computer, that's entrepreneurship. Whatever we have, cars that we drive, everything is entrepreneurship. So we must know that entrepreneurs provide life, they lead civilizations. And but unfortunately in Africa, people believe in politics, they still believe in governments. Let me tell you that entrepreneurs and enterprises are of a higher civilization than regulators. You know, because God provides them in detail every day, every second. And then governments have to follow behind to regulate that. Is that right? Politics will never lead the economic dimension. For every nation, there are 4 dimensions that rule every country, 4 dimensions. 1 is politics, 2 is social dimension, 3 is security dimension, 4 is economic dimension. It is this economic dimension that provides life to the other 3 dimensions. And that is entrepreneurs, enterprises. They are the ones that provide life. I'm here because I felt right that I be here. I'm a very busy person, but I cannot be busy for this program. This program is important to me. I would like to make my presentation to be Afrocentric. I want you to look at things from the Afrocentric perspective, hoping that a talk will cover the global, will have its own dimension. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a big problem in Africa, which I'll share with our visiting doctor. We don't have a model to develop Africa. That's the biggest problem. We don't know how to finance development in Africa. That's a problem. But I can tell you, there are so many options that we have that we'd like to explore. Firstly, the business in Africa or companies emanating in Africa, they don't grow simply because they are into transactions. They just transact. If they don't structure anything. Money coming into Africa, some of it is called development. They call those people development partners, like apes, United Nations, money from UN, some organizations. That money is not properly structured when it comes to Africa. Yeah, it doesn't add value to Africa. It's not structured to develop Africa. Africa is no structure. So trillions of money come into Africa, and when they leave, they bleed Africa. They create dependence, create complacency, destroy entrepreneurship spirit, destroy productivity spirit, because it's not structured. Now, when multinationals come into Africa as well, with lots of investments, that money is not structured. Therefore, it comes in as just FDI, foreign direct investment. And they go for extractives now, they want commodities, they go for national resources. Because there is no structured sectors, no structured entrepreneurs, no structured enterprises in Africa to be compatible with these multinationals, sort of through stock markets and so forth. So this FDI comes into Zambia, comes into Mali, comes into Burkina Faso, goes straight to the field, mines, farming, extract everything and go back, bleeding Africa. So we call that development and we call those people investors. No, that's financial imperialism. And they are correct because they're doing business. We are wrong because we don't structure for FDI. You know, even here in Zimbabwe, we've got an organization called Zimbabwe Investment Development Agency, ZIDA. I tried to show them that, you know, you must use the investment impact index. I designed the investment impact index that has got certain covenants and elements of structuring, private sector to private sector, no government involvement, no fees due to government that easily, so that investors are happy. But how to structure investments? Then I discovered that no. They said, okay, where does it work elsewhere? Showed them in Australia it works. There are so many organizations in the Netherlands that help structure investments. My background, I was a chief economist in Germany. I know what we used to do for investments, right? But yeah, we don't structure any money coming in. So the private sector is not there in Africa, that of African origin. The private sector that we have in Africa has been imported from Asia, Europe, Northern America. That's the private sector that we have here. All foreign capital, foreign entrepreneurs, foreign enterprises. So my dimension is we have to develop very fast a responsible private sector to create that patriotic capital to Africa. And that should be done away from politics. That should be done away from the ANC, much away from ZANU-PF, away from Frelimo, away from SWAPO, away from AMBLA. We should create our own private sector. I wanted to have systems that are compatible to what Dr. Ron will present here as a youth in Zimbabwe. You must have systems. Don't He is here, I'm here, in the house of the Lord. We are not in some PF offices here. We are not in the political dimension. It is this social dimension that is propping up that economic dimension. It's from the church to business. So let's have systems that are compatible to investments so that we grow a strong private sector in Africa. I'm not going to talk about Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe is a small market. Zimbabwe is a very small market. Your states are about 50 states with more than 200 million people, with a gross domestic product of 20 trillion a year. We still, even here, when you come to us here, you do business, we use proper systems, you deal with the whole of Africa. Yes, you are hosted in Harare, but the investments that will do, even to people here, but their outreach, their geo-economy will be Africa-wide. Zimbabwe, I can tell you, is only 14 million people resident here, but we are a signatory as a country to the Southern Africa Development Community. It's called SADC. It has got 205 million people. Goods of origins from here to these countries, no tariffs. It takes protocol on tax and investments. Once you pay tax as a company to one country, in SADC, you don't pay tax in another. So it means that if the business pays tax in Botswana, you just take the tax credits from Botswana, you come here, you're exempted for tax. So don't be scared that Zimbabwe is a small market. It's not, because once you bring investments here, we can house them anyway in SADC. We can house the investment in Mozambique, we can house it in Zambia, we can house it in Malawi. We'll look at the jurisdictions, we'll look at the sector. What sector are you investing in? Which country in the SADC has got better legal frameworks to protect those investments in that particular sector? And then we can house it there. So the business can operate anyway in SADC and pay tax only in one jurisdiction. There are so many other privileges that I may not go through because of time constraints here. So Zimbabwe is we just host the investment. We do dog legging. Production can be in Zimbabwe, but perhaps the tax office in Mauritius, perhaps the legal office, perhaps in Ireland. We have different addresses just for one investment in one company. Zimbabwe is also a signatory to COMESA, the Common Market for East and Southern Africa. COMESA is 22 countries. COMESA is 610 million people, half of the population of Africa. So the investments can operate anywhere in COMESA with easy. So don't say Zimbabwe is a small market. We're just hosting you, but I'm hosting you here on behalf of 600 million people through our signatory as COMESA. So you may see a few people here, but we are talking to 600 million people. That's how we are structured. And lucky of late now, also, if your investment in Zim, the market is big. Of late now, we are rolling out the Africa Continental Free Trade Area after program. I was one of the key speakers when the Secretary General of the same program was presenting in Bulawayo. We are working quite very closely on investments. I was so selfish to say I want to stick on investments and private sector creation. Investments, productivity, and industrialization. That's my threshold. That's my focus. 44 out of 55 countries have ratified, have signed for the AFTA protocol. And we hope to have the rest of the countries signing in the next 9 months. When I looked at the schedule yesterday. Meaning that you invest in Zimbabwe, you have got access to 1.3 billion Africans. One time, free movement of goods in Zim and so forth. And to local Zimbabweans, I'm saying, and to local Africans, local to the program, jurisdiction to another in Africa. No tariffs, no duty. You are in Zimbabwe, you sell something to somebody in Uganda, your goods don't pay duty. You sell to somebody in Ghana sell to somebody in Madagascar, no duty. So that's a beautiful market. It means that you are no longer limited to 14 million people in Zimbabwe. And when you do business, that's the scope that you should cover. We don't want small companies, because what can Zimbabwe give you with 14 million people? It's a very small income, small revenues. I mean, look at the market capitalization of the biggest company, Zimbabwe Stock Exchange. That is the size of that company by market capitalization. You also look at the biggest company in terms of revenues in Zimbabwe, which is Delta or Econet. They're small revenues. You know, you want to grow the investment. So use the SADC protocol, use the COMESA treaty, and use the African Free Trade Area protocol, so that you cover the market, you raise companies that are worth billions. When we talk about the local market, let's talk about Africa. Talk about local market, let's talk about COMESA, let's talk about SADC. So, in short, why I'm emphasizing, I'm sticking on those points, is because let's respect the investments. When they come through us, let's take them to a bigger market. Let's structure our companies into a bigger market. But let me tell you, to do that, as an entrepreneur, yes, you need a high dosage of entrepreneurship here in the blood veins. You must be a very strong entrepreneur. You must be a responsible entrepreneur. This is where coaches like Dr. Ron come in, so that they can empower you with a strong mind, so that emotionally you are strong, and mentally you are strong, and your judgments are correct. You know, entrepreneurs are amazing people. But I will dwell on the enterprise itself. You see, I advocate for strong companies. Zimbabweans should have strong companies. Africans should have strong companies. A company is a legal person. It commands a commercial life. You are a human person. You live in a human society and you die. But a strong enterprise does not. There are some companies that are 200 years old. I know Schweppes is close to 300 years old. You can check the Mazui container since 1763. You can calculate for yourself how old Schweppes is. The oldest company on earth is 2,100 years old, from Rome. It's been changing name from Venice. Companies are old, but generations die. That is because they've got proper enterprise systems for continuity. And we don't have that culture in Africa. Simply because of our history. For time immemorial, we have been subjected to slavery, pay to work without no pay. That is formed part of our DNA. And for 500 years, we commodities were sold alongside grain and goods in the slave trade. These two evil institutions of slavery and that of slave trade deflected us. We are viewed now as subhuman by other races. It's only that they're afraid of telling us, because we will sue them, it will be violation. But I talk to them. They see us as subhumans. So there must be a lot of remedies that we should apply. And when you come from America, don't hesitate to share everything. Don't hesitate to apply an affirmative action on black people. It's not a secret. Black people are lagging behind. That is the reason why the blacks don't have companies in stock markets across the world. They don't have listed entities. We know them, we can count them. There are less than 100 in the whole world that have listed companies. And that is something that indicates something not right. It's a sign. So let's come out. Let's solve our problem. During your coachings, know that we're lagging behind, push hard. Push hard. Yeah. They may listen to you. It will be easier for them to listen to you because you're from another civilization. The other thing is, I want local people, local I mean Africa, including here in Harare. Let's have strong enterprises that can be compatible to investments in the world, that can fit into financial markets, companies that can do private placements of shares, companies that can list in stock markets. I have all the systems. I have all those programs. I have all the methodologies of rolling out that, including that of mindset change of the entrepreneurs. Zimbabwe is a very good history. I mean, Eswatini is a very good example. It was the first country to effect a robust and aggressive indigenization act and land reform, trying to transfer the economy to black people. It was done before there was a proper program. It was done without a proper system, without a proper... I was in Germany when you guys put that act in 2008. And my first person to call was Professor Ulshman. And I said, why do you want to grab other people's businesses? Why not develop your own? Why not evolve? Political revolution is possible, but economic revolution is a problem because there are lots of property rights involved. What we're supposed to do is a good act of parliament, but it should be done by private sector. It must not be enforcement. No one should be forced to sell this company. Business is available. I'm not criticizing indigenization act. I support it for one record, very much so. But it was the way it was implemented, which resulted in the white race losing their assets the way they did, especially industry and commerce. I won't comment about land. It's not the day for it. But let me share this with you. We're supposed to build capacity. We're supposed to engage on a national service. National service is not only military. National service can be industrial, you can have commercial national service, you can have the educational sector, so that people change the mindset. We're supposed to transfer people from the social dimension to economic dimension. We're supposed to transfer people and entrepreneurs from political dimension to economic dimension. That mindset change was important. We know that across Africa, promising entrepreneurs start very well. They move their companies from small category, small medium category. The small medium category, not medium, upper medium category there. They can afford a campaign. So they go for primary elections, they go for national elections, they go to parliament. So we've lost a lot of entrepreneurs, very promising entrepreneurs across Africa, Dr. Ron, to parliaments. It happens in Ghana, it happens in Kenya. I try to advise my friends even in Kenya that don't become an MP. Instead of going to parliament, go to stock markets and grow this company so that it's big. We lost all of them to parliaments. Even the parliament of Zimbabwe is housing promising entrepreneurs. And there's statehood, they're doing nothing there. They're destroying companies, destroying future there. So out of the 4 dimensions, Africa is more than 200% over-politicized. We need a lot of depoliticizing processes. So we need strong entrepreneurs that will stay in the economic dimension, that will grow their companies from small, medium until they're corporate, that will stick in the economic dimension. The word investments is misunderstood. They don't understand investments as a weapon to drive business here. What they know is debt. They know the loan from a bank. They apply the loan. They cannot structure investments, Dr. Ronnie. They cannot grow the investment. They cannot declare dividends. That's our people in Africa. Yet we have programs at setting systems that change the mindset, systems that make them understand investments. Let me share this with you. There are two sources of money to business. This one is sales and revenues. Start a company very well. You've got a good market, whether it's a local market, your product is moving very well, you are making money. Those are revenues and sales. Is that right? In most cases, if you are making money like this, you're making money like that. I have so many businesses. Then you say, okay, let me use this money to organically grow my company. I'll take part of the profits, open another branch. Take part of the profits or proceeds from the business or revenues, invest in another sector. So he runs a mine, money from the mine opens a manufacturing concern. Money from the mine and manufacturing concern, he starts a farm. Revenues from there, that's whatever. What happens then is that you are destroying this very business. Even if you don't go to other sectors, expanding within the same sector, you are destroying this business. The money that is made by that business in that particular jurisdiction is to pay your workers, is for the overheads. Is that right? Increases, they're doing well. Make the business nice, finance the business adequate, make it very strong. Meet all the standards, including ISO certifications. Get it clean, declare the dividend on that one, make it clean. But now, when you want to expand this business, you want to open 6 other branches, you don't take the money from here. Because if you take the money from here, you're making this one suffer. You put small money here, this one again suffers. Is that right? So they are both suffering. These ones are complaining that you're not getting paid in time. These ones are saying that, this new investment is weak. You understand? Don't do that. Leave this money, let it grow, consolidate it. Now, when you want to expand it to other branches, you register authorized share capital, you increase your authorized share capital in the memorandum. That's commercialization now. And then we do your prospectus. We talk to intermediaries like banks. And then we sell your shares. We know how to structure that. That's why investors come in now. Investors in form of business angels. Ron has got a lot of them in America. Investors like venture capitalists, private equity firms, even other fund managers. So I'm talking about individual investors, I'm talking about corporate investors, I'm talking about institutional investors, including pension funds, provident funds, all those are investors. That's when they come now to buy shares in your company. In that way, now you're exposed to one, financial markets. It's private placement, there's no stock exchange like I've spoken of now. No. We're exposed to trillions worth of funds, trillions worth of US dollars. We're exposed to that through that system. We're exposed to lots of, your company is not compatible. Your company now can take in investments through selling of shares. Let's say you want to raise 50 million, it's easy. I can register your company 700 million shares, issue out 50 million shares. You're still a majority shareholder. Is that right? You get 50 million US dollars through private placement. You take that money, you build latest technology. Don't buy second hand with investments. Latest technology. Technology is housed in machines. It must be in machines. With that money, you must aim to go top 3 in that particular subsector or sector. Top 3 because you're carrying money which is unlimited. Is that right? So, you best equipment, infrastructure, buildings, you put everything if you go that way. So, we want to open 5 branches, we calculate. The revenues are continuing on this one, don't worry. You have sold out shares, you get 50 million, you do expansion. you contain. The moment you're introduced into selling of shares and buying of shares through your own enterprise, not buying people's shares, but through your own enterprise, listing your own company, you get a culture of shareholder activism. Your philosophy of ownership is enhanced. Ideologies of ownership grow. Because that's what we need for investments. We need somebody who's got a grip on ownership, who can structure ownership. You see, the culture of productivity grows in order to declare dividend. So you achieve high levels of responsibility. That's what we need out of African entrepreneurs. It's a secret that the white community does not easily share. Whites don't share that information easily. I lived with whites a lot. I'm a black person born in Bulawayo, grew up in South Africa and in Hamburg, in Deutschland, northern Germany. I know the cultures of Africa and Europe. They don't share that information with us. I'm sharing with you. And every white person that interacts with you, go into that, they go deeper there. They will open up. They will empower you there. Talking about just say Bishabi don't work. What works are systems. An entrepreneur without a culture of a strong enterprise is a useless entrepreneur because they end up becoming a dealer. And instead of creating wealth, they create riches. Riches evaporate like spirit. You understand? Riches are useless. You'll end up having a lot of money in the bags, money under the bed, in the boot of a car, shining, creating ginimbi after ginimbi after ginimbi. There is no wealth creation there. You understand? So we need an entrepreneur to be encouraged by a strong enterprise with the proper systems. That's what Africa needs now. That's why we need our youth to anchor upon. Gone are the days of a previous generation that failed. I mean, this country provided a lot of concessions, mining concessions, banking concessions to entrepreneurs like Nicholas Bingirai, who's this guy, Feliciano. Quite a lot of that generation, Mugabe gave them business. Clear. AAG went hard to empower them, but they did not have the culture of commercialization. They didn't have a culture of participating in financial markets. Instead of going to financial markets to grow companies into stock exchange, they went to parliament. They joined the politics. Got lost. So to you youth, you invited me here. I want to give you a different direction. You have to pray for that. Pray for that. I want every investor who will come here, every connection that Ron will give you, I want you to commercialize your companies and properly trade shares. That's the linkages, that's the networking that I need. No story. Stories are not enough.
Right.
In practical implementation is what we are looking for. So I'm being practical here, and I want us to remain practical forever. You have to invest the time and the little resources that we have towards compliance so that we create entities that are compatible to investments. That's what we need. It's a big opportunity for him to have flown from America to come here. That is the biggest economy in the world and the highest, highly regulated. If I can just give you a good example, these guys are yet another civilization. Yeah, we may share chairs like we're sitting together, but we're not together.
Yeah, you're right.
We may share the coffee there, some drink there, but we're not together. When it comes to business, commerce, trade, finance, legal frameworks, they are 30 million years ahead of us. So you must learn how to talk to them, be relevant. We have a lot to learn from them. Let me share this with you. Something interesting. Some of you here have got private limited companies registered in SIM, right? If you go to your authorized share capital under the memorandum of articles, which measures the size of your company, authorized share capital, is 2,000 shares. Is what we have now. You can go and open your companies, 100 shares, at $1 US dollar per share, meaning that your company is worth 2,000 US dollars. And your project that you are doing, it is 20 million your company makes 13 million, 10 million US dollars, it's a small to medium. That's what I have in Zimbabwe. When I look at their documents, it's 2,000. So, but your project is bigger than your company. How? You understand? How can your company be worth 2,000 and your project is worth, your project gives you 10 million a year? Okay? And there are assets which are under your company, in the name of your company. The vehicles and houses and offices that are together with 6 million, but your company is worth 2,000 a year. So you can see that there is a fault there. Your company is supposed to be commercialized. Your company is not commercialized. Is that right? That's why they're supposed to raise hundreds of millions of authorized share capital from that 2,000. Then from there you get into really commercialized companies. You can now transfer the balance sheet into the value of your company and vice versa. Is that right? That's what you need. And this is because instead of chartered accountants in Zimbabwe, our CAs are ignorant. They attend my workshops, I train them every day, we correct a lot of documents. The other problem is that the Law Society of Zimbabwe does not know how to practice commerce, trade, and economy. They are just criminologists, constitutional lawyers, they're not commercial lawyers. They need to be trained, Law Society of Zimbabwe. Yes, this is, I'm saying it on good spirit, I'm not criticizing. They need attention. They cannot promote investments into Zimbabwe. These lawyers, when they draw an agreement, you cry, what kind of an agreement is this for investments? And I can tell you, because we don't structure investments in, we're not commercialized, there are a lot of conflicts. There is a lot of litigation. The bench, which are magistrates, courts are piled with conflicts between Zimbabweans and Chinese, because these companies of Zimbabwe are not commercialized. And Chinese take advantage and they don't. They don't. So I want all the youth to get this new system. Even elderly people who are prepared to run proper companies, they must get a proper system. So that Dr. Ron, when he comes here, is going to deal with the people who are ready for investments. Otherwise, you are not ready for investments. I'm sorry, doctor. They are not ready. Yes. This is the beginning that we need to align our systems properly. So that you deal with the people who have got systems. So that you don't waste time. Because entrepreneurs without an entrepreneur are useless. Even if you go to Kenya, you check a lot of publicity around innovation. Yeah, they've designed this, they've designed that, they've designed that. When I went to Nairobi, then I checked, okay guys, give me the intellectual property. Give me the IPs for what you have designed. Do you have patent rights, trademarks? Do you have certificates of ownership of what you did? Nothing. So that's the big problem in Africa, that we don't have philosophy of ownership. We don't have legalized ownership. We don't have formalized ownership. We claim ownership. God gives us, but we don't have the systems to protect, but systems are there. It's simply because the education that we receive is for workers. It has nothing to do with entrepreneurship and business. Dr. Ron, you've got a lot of work to do. When somebody says he's a doctor like me, how many doctors in Zim are applying for jobs and they are employed and even closing opportunities for young people in that employment space, a blocking? Because if you've got a PhD, you are an authority in that discipline. We are supposed to design systems, we are supposed to improve civilization in that system. If really you studied for your PhD, you did not plagiarize or you did not get it one way or the other. You understand? So how can so many innovations are not formalized and legalized? We don't have intellectual property. I looked at the World Intellectual Property Administration Office, WIPO, in Geneva and in New York. The register there is no African innovation. But a lot of Africans innovate a lot through companies. but that there is no system. There was no system. It is there from us, but it is not out there in the world. So those are the elements that, remember that when he brings in investors, you must be strong in product development, product ownership, and the product intelligence files to anchor in the sector. You have to conquer the sector with every investment that you get. You must become nodal if you get an investment, so that you can command the downstream businesses below you. That's what you need. You don't go there weak. I want you to understand that when you run a company, when you're an entrepreneur, work beyond subsistence business. Commercialize. Is that right? Use disruptive models. Use latest technology. Be futuristic. If it means attack the space in front of you, if it means that you apply artificial intelligence models for your products, do so that you don't experience what is called potential disqualification with people's money. Because investments, you have to declare dividends. My last point is, investments are better than loans. Don't run a company using loans from today. Is that right? Yes. Loans, you have to pay back plus interest. Collection is rough. Debt, you have to start, and the loans are small because it's collateral small. But investments, you don't pay back. The investor is saying together we make losses, together we make profits. So there is a level of responsibility there, and it's business. It's not like loans which are transactional. I take your 50,000 as a bank, you collect collateral, you take my title deeds for a house worth 300,000. So it's take eye for an eye, you take my money, I take your house. It's war. There's no business there. But when it comes to investments, it's structured properly. Okay? And you belong together. There is transfer of skills, there is responsibility, there is desire to grow the capital, and there is future. There is future. So once you get that opportunity, please, let's get to the top of that sector in which we are. So I may say a lot, but I'm happy that you gave me this opportunity to share with you. Don't be surprised that Africa is not developed. It is because it doesn't have investments, it doesn't know how to handle investments. Last but not least, my last point. Africa has learned, or I don't know my English, learned, I don't know. But Africa has is mastering very fast how to save money through pension funds, provident funds, stock fields, our women saving every month to buy grocery in December. All those savings, contributions to medical schemes, premiums of insurances, all those are savings. So there are a lot of savings across Africa. There is quite hundreds of billions across Africa available for investments. That money is available. Africans view that money from a social dimension, that when I've retired, when I reach 65 years, I have to start earning that money now until I die. So that's a view from social dimension. But the other races, Asians, Europeans, Americans, see those savings as an opportunity for what? For investments. They want to use it now. With us as Blacks, we want to wait until we use it when we are old. That's social dimension. Economic dimension, they want to take that money and apply it as investments now. I'm talking about money from NASA, money from PIC in South Africa, pension funds in Egypt, Kenya, whatever. They are available. Is that right? They are available to you for investments. And you can commercialize your company, sell shares to these pension funds. You have to deal with fund managers, asset managers who manage funds on behalf of pension funds. We give you all those options. Fine. But the version of Ronnie is good in the sense that even if they're private equity firms, even if they're business angels, that they will give you, they do mentorship. It's very important. They share with you, they give you that power. Americans are aggressive people. That's one thing that I know about them. They don't give a damn, they just move. That is why they are in the empire now. We are still working on ways how to challenge them anyway. Yeah. So, right, but they are very, very powerful people. That's the advantage. But if you sell to a pension fund, you have to be responsible enough to stand on your own. So, we'll share quite a lot from time to time. Pension funds are available. In my institute, lastly, thank you so much. Right. Let me share this with you. My institute is directly linked to 347 pension funds in Asia, Egypt, Asia to be specific, Saudi Arabia, Qatar. We're linked to pension funds in Egypt, Kenya. We're advising pension funds in South Africa, Zimbabwe, in Ghana, and in Morocco directly. We've got that access. There is a lot that I admire from the American economy. The biggest companies on earth, if you check the top 10, it's a war in terms of revenues. Also the biggest top 10 companies on earth in terms of market capitalization. Okay, for you to understand those things, it's simple language as an entrepreneur, not really going into formulae. I'm a practical doctor, because I never lectured in any university. I acquired my PhD while I was in the industry. So what I know is to take this, put there, take this, put there. Is that right? And it works like that. What I may just have is the power of interpretation because of my academic background. Just to interpret things, I can see things. But I'm a practical doctor. I'm not academic. All my programs are not academic. There is no way you can sit down, write examinations, whatever. You need to go and implement. Practically. That's what happens. So, there is a lot of investments. Not even one African company is tapping into funds available locally. That is why you go to America, you go to China to look for investors. Yet there is a lot of investments, a lot of money available in Africa. Meaning that Africans have not mastered the systems that make them compatible to investments. What I don't know is, I don't know whether you want investments or you want investors. There is a difference there between investments and investors. Africans, we go for investors because we don't know how to handle investments. The moment your companies get systems how to handle investments and grow them and declare dividends, you won't need investors, you will need investments. And you'll know where to get them. Thank you so much.
As Doc was speaking, I just realized how entrepreneurship, as entrepreneurs, we make a lot of mistakes. And I, for one, I think 2.5 years ago, I sold 40% of my company with a shareholding that had the authorized share capital very low. And I'm thinking, how do I reverse that? So I'm going to hang on your budget jacket after the meeting to try and correct that, if it's correctable. But thank you so much for an excellent exegesis on business entrepreneurship, the African model, and how you went right on the importance of systems in business. Let's give a round of applause again. Zimbabwe is blessed with such critical thinkers, men with capacity in terms of business. Our next presenter is our keynote address, coming from Dr. Ron Eccles, all the way from the United States of America, a man who I believe has got sound wisdom in business, author of an exceptional book on success that I believe that he's going to be able to share nuggets with us in the next 50 minutes of talk, and then we're going to get a question and answer segment with a roving mic. So let's put our hands together for Dr. Ron Eccles with a round of applause.
I feel like I'm handicapped if I have to use that. Okay. Phone. Got it. Well, good morning.
Morning.
Unacceptable. Good morning.
Morning.
All right. Well, it's not new. It's not get back to the beginning here because I am probably going to be one of the most unorthodox speakers you're going to have in a long time. Number one is I'm not dressed like a normal speaker, simply because the airlines decided to send my luggage to Nairobi yesterday and won't get here till later on, so this is what I was wearing yesterday. And this is what you have to put up with, that's it. One of the things I learned as a professional speaker is this. You work with what you are dealt with. Oh, if the technology goes wrong, you've got to be prepared to be able to step up and do what you need to do.
That's right.
Now, after listening to Doctor over here, I got to tell you, I've learned a lot from you. Just sitting there listening to you, one of the things I discovered, and that is if you will surrender and never count on all the information you know, all the wisdom you develop, but listen to the wisdom and the knowledge from other people, you can be educated by anybody. When I was a young man, or I say a younger man, I would be not listened to by older people because I was young and what did I know? Today, I learned from 13 and 14-year-olds who know more about technology than I know. So I'm going to ask you to do this. No matter what you think about business, I want you to just surrender and say, well, maybe I can learn something new today. All right? So here's what I want to do. I'm going to lovingly challenge you if that's okay. Okay? You gave me permission.
Yeah.
And I'm now, if you haven't guessed, I am white.
Okay.
I am really white. I burn. If you turn the lights up in here, I will burn in no time at all. But irregardless of that, I'm a human being. That's what I really am. Inside, my blood is the same color as everyone else on the planet. So the reality of it is, I know that there's Afrocentric economies. But I'm going to talk today from a God-centric economy. Hey! One God created all. All right? So even though we do have differences, and there are cultural differences, the reality of it is, if you're going to build a building in Nairobi, or in Zimbabwe, or in United States, you have to start out with a great foundation. And the foundation is irrelevant to what country you're in. What depends on is what's underneath it. Right? What are you building your foundation on? Today I'm going to talk about business from a standpoint of foundational principles. You brought up some incredible points right now. So I'm sitting here the entire time and I'm trying to figure out what is, because I've got 3 days worth of information on my computer. But I got 50 minutes. So what can I teach you? What can I share with you that would mean something to you? Because here's the reality. If you gain information while you're in here and you leave here and you do nothing with it, I've wasted your time and you wasted your time as well. I don't want that to happen, so here's what I want. I'm going to try to figure out what is the most important thing I can share with you. And in sharing it with you, if you will take it, leave here, and do something with it, then you bless me. I flew for 20-something hours yesterday to get here. I want my time to be worth. My wife and I began praying months ago for what God could do just through a simple, humble man like me. Even though, and I used to say this for years, when I began to speak as a professional, as a doctor, I used to go to other cities in the United States and used to say, I am an expert. And I would then say this, do you know how I'm an expert? Here's the definition of an expert. Somebody from somewhere else. That's it. See, you show up, you don't know, you're a human being, and you made lots of mistakes in your life. And I have made many more than most of you in here. But by the grace of God, I learned. Now, most people think because you stand on a stage and you're a doctor by background that you must be really smart until you get to know me. You see, I tell this as a story, but it's true. When I went through grammar school, middle school, high school, and even in my freshman year of college, I made the top half of the class. Possible. Now, those of you who are like me, it'll take about 5 minutes and you'll figure that out. Somebody had to be in the bottom half of the class so the people on the top could enjoy that position. I was on the bottom half. When I graduated from high school, they would have never, ever, ever thought that one day I would be, in their minds, more successful than they were. That I would ever be a doctor. When I went back to my 5-year class reunion, they were like, this can't be. No school would have accepted him to be a doctor. So But here's my encouragement. I don't care how old you are. I don't care what your background is. I don't care what color your skin. I don't care whether you're male or female. I don't care if you're gay or straight. I don't care. All I know is this, that the chains that hold you back are your chains. There's nobody waiting outside to put you in a car and take you to a jail right now. I hope not.
Yeah.
Yes. I hope that's going to be waiting for me out there. But here's the reality. Most of us carry around chains of past problems in our lives. How many people here made a mistake? Raise your hand. Like, if you didn't raise your hand, you're lying. You just made a mistake. We all have made mistakes.
Yes.
And how many of us come from backgrounds, parents, grandparents, ancestry, where it's filled and riddled with all kinds of problems? I don't even know most of mine. My mother was adopted. We don't even know who her parents were. But I do know this. I know my dad's side. I know the struggle with alcoholism in my ancestry. I know the struggle with pornography in my family. I know the struggle of sexual addiction. I know the struggles of so many of those simply because I have been a product of some of that. But I can tell you this. God has been gracious to everyone. And He says, you know what? You can drop the chains. I broke them. You can let them go. Now, I'm going to take that from the spiritual sense. I want to bring it into the business realm right now and say this. No matter what you don't know, you can learn. Amen. But here's one of the things I can't change for you. I can't change your drive inside of you. One thing I do know I have is a high drive. And it's not because of anything other. If you looked at my father worked for a company for 33 years. Retired, had an okay pension, but my father never went past 9th grade in school. I have 3 sisters. I'm the highest educated in my family. I was the first doctor ever in my ancestry that I know of. So here's one of the things I do know. It is possible for so many things in your life if you're willing to believe it is possible. And more importantly, is it possible for you?
Amen.
So many people today graduate from schools and universities with a degree, but not enough education. Some of you in this room, you may not have a degree, but you've got education. Education is far more important than degrees. What you were sharing just a little bit ago was really powerful. You talked about, and I listened to every word that you said. You repeated certain words over and over again. One of them was mindset. So I was sitting there thinking, Cole, what could I talk to you today about? See, because if I give you skill sets, in 50 minutes, I can't teach you everything there is to know about business. But what I can do is if I can get your mindset to change and go in a different direction, everything in your life will change. So here's one of the things I want to do. I want to go through just a couple different pieces of information I share with people. Is that okay with you?
Yes.
I'm going to go up there and just look at my slides. I need them as a prompt, just remind me of what I want to talk about. This one is probably my favorite. This is my beautiful wife, Johanna. We have 5 children. Now, Johanna was fortunate enough not to have to go through any births. She married me when I had 5 children. And I have 2 children my ex-wife and I had biologically, which means they gave birth to them. And then we adopted 3 children. So 2 of my children come from South America. One of my children is biracial. Mom was black, dad was white. Right? So we look like an eclectic family. However, we are missing some Asian people in our lineage. Right? So I always get an audience that I would say, if you are a wealthy Asian person in my audience, I'm not eligible to be adopted. That's always the answer. Now, we have 3 beautiful grandchildren, and they are my reward for not having choked some of my children to death while they were growing up. If you're a parent of kids, you probably can relate with that. All right, so I'm going to go through 7 principles of millionaire minds. Forget about the term millionaire for a minute. What if you could have a mindset that would change everything in your life right now? Would you be willing to invest the next 30 minutes together with me? Yes. Raise your hand. Give me some feedback. Yes. See, the more energy you give me, the more energy I'll give you back. Is that okay? Yes. Yes? That's all right, good. So the more yes days, feel free to interrupt me by standing to applaud. I always enjoy that as much as possible. Just joking. All right, so here's the number one thing. How many people, I want you to stop and think about this for a minute. What if I took you into a field, blindfolded you, spun you around 10 or 15 times? You're dizzy now, you're disoriented, and I take a bow and an arrow and I put it in your hands. And I said, I want you to put the arrow on the bow, I want you to pull it back, and I want you to hit a target 200 feet away. How many could hit that target? You're blindfolded, you're disoriented. Why can't you hit it? You're not focused. Real close. You can't see it.
Yes.
How can you hit a target you can't see? But yet, how many of us in this room have ever gotten this thing, or we work for this thing called money? Raise your hand. Okay? We spend a lot of our lives working, and we exchange something for this thing called money, but we really don't know what money is. Can anybody give me an instant definition of exactly what money is? No hands. You work your entire life for it, you want more of it in your life because it makes things a little bit better, but you don't know what it is. How can you get something you're not even sure what it is? So with your permission, if I could just give you my definition of what money is, it may help you understand it a little bit better. Would that be okay?
Yeah.
Here's what I believe money is. Money is what we exchange for the value of the goods or services we provide in a marketplace.
Okay.
If I sell a television, I can sell it for a certain amount. The marketplace may have a certain dictation of what I can sell that television for. But if I created a television that's better than all the other televisions because I sell it for more money.
Yes.
Right? If I sell an inferior product, will I get less money for it? Yes? What if I'm a doctor and I'm a crappy doctor? And if I don't help people or I have more malpractice suits against me than anybody else, should I be paid as much as the person who's an incredible doctor, known for how good they are? No. So the marketplace has some sort of effect on how much money we can make, but we have the biggest effect on it. So if we want to make more money, what do we increase? Let me go back to the definition again. It is the value of the services or goods we provide to the marketplace. Who wants more money in their bank account, right? So here's what do you have to do?
Increase the value.
Oh, wait a minute, we have a problem here. I got to increase my value?
Yes.
That means I got to work. I got to study. I got to hone my craft. I got to get better each and every day. Wait, are we talking about skill sets or mindset?
Mindset.
Let's start with mindset. The mindset begins with, do I believe it's possible for me, and am I willing to do what needs to be done to make it happen?
That's right.
If I am, every day I wake up, and this vision that I've cast, that God put in my heart, this vision pulls me towards it. I get up and I work towards it. I'm the same kid that struggled academically for so many years in my younger years. Today, I guarantee you, I study more than most people I know. Now, I don't study because of I want to be smarter than they are. I study because that's what I do for a living. I spend the first hour of my day before I get out of bed in prayer.
Wow.
I give thanks to God. I praise Him because He allowed me to have a heartbeat and breath today. He gave me the opportunity to wake up and to challenge the day. So I spend the first time with Him as an honor. I give back the first of my day to my God, and I love that. Now, did I do this all my life? No. I had different disciplines. But over the years, God has just honed that into my life. So here's one of the things I hope that you can learn today. Model. See something you really know is good and model. That's how you get better at something. I model the success of other people. I've heard this said so many times that I stand on the shoulder of giants. The things I have learned from all the people that have come before me. And I continue to open up my mind so that I continue to learn. God has created wisdom and He's created information, even in the mind of the unbeliever. Because we all exist in a universe created by a mighty God. Whether people choose to acknowledge that or not is sometimes not relevant to my learning. I learn from other people, whether they are Christians or not, whether they're believers in Christ or not. But I do not learn spiritual lessons from them. I learn the right things from the right people. If I'm going to take... How many people know this guy called Stephen Hawking? He was the greatest physicist in the last 100 years. He was that guy that couldn't talk. They had this machine that would talk for him. Right? Stephen Hawking was known as one of the greatest physicists of all times. But here's the problem. He made a statement one time. They asked him this. Well, you believe in the Big Bang, right? Where space, time, and matter begin instantly. Most scientists believe in that. He said, yes. He said, well, then what was before that? What caused time, space, and matter to come into existence? And he said nothing. Stop and think about it for a minute. A man that hinged his entire career on the principles of logic. You cannot make that statement and be sincere about it. You can't say nothing caused something. It's illogical. Yeah. So here's my point. Stephen Hawking was a brilliant physicist, terrible theologian. But sometimes we don't recognize that a person has an expertise in this lane here, but we listen to them over here where they have no expertise. Woo. So we must be wise to learn who we should listen to and where should we take our information from. I can tell you a lot about building a small business because I started out with nothing. I borrowed money from a bank. My father co-signed the note for me. And from there, over the next 40 years, I built multiple 6- and 7-figure businesses, but I had my troubled times where I didn't know if I was going to have enough money to make my payment. I didn't know where things were going to come from. When I owned restaurants for 10 years. Some weeks, I'm paying out more money in salaries and food bills than I had money. But the next week, then I have money in my pocket. So I know the ups and downs of entrepreneurship. I know the risk that it takes to step out into the world of unknown and to dare to do something different than most other people won't. And not everybody is built for entrepreneurship. Somebody has to work for us. It's the reality of it, right? Somebody wants that comfort. They want that paycheck every week. Other people are willing to risk it, not have a paycheck. They're willing to go to the wall and say, I'm willing to do what's necessary because at the end, I think there's something better. It's not for everyone, but it is for certain people. And those are the individuals I want to address here. Especially the younger you are. Please listen. I was interviewed just a little bit ago. Where's the gentleman interviewed? He's not here, he left. He had enough. But he asked me this, why did you come to Zimbabwe? Why are you going to Zambia? I said, because by my interviews, first of all, I was coming no matter what, because I love to teach and I love to speak. But I said, when I began to speak to the men and women that interviewed me, I began to see a hunger here for that which I love to teach. People that are hungry, if you're a chef, and I'm not a chef, if you're a chef and you come across a group of people that really love to eat your food, that's a great place to be as a chef. Because you know that you're delivering to people who appreciate you. So to come here, to me, is an honor. You've honored me with the great success of Entrepreneurship. I feel very humbled by that. I almost laugh sometimes. Because when I started being introduced as the success doctor on stages, it had nothing to do with my status or my income. It was because the gentleman was an attorney, I was speaking at his events, and he recognized that I study successful people, successful businesses, and the principles of success more than anybody he had ever met. So I wear that with great pride, but also with humility to know that I am going to spend a lifetime and I will never learn anywhere near the amount there is to learn. Yeah. The moment you meet somebody who thinks they know everything there is to know, get away from them. They need to be humble. So I come here humble. I come here also knowing that I can learn from you. I learned just this morning, just listening to you. I learned a lot. I learned about the nature of what's going on here, and I listened to you talk about economics. I don't understand half the things you know about economics, but I understand how things work. And that's what's a brilliant principle. People that understand these big, complicated things, great. How does that work on the ground? I've been asked this question. Ron, do you have a superpower? I said, yeah, I do. And my superpower, and please listen carefully to this, your superpower that God gives you, and I say superpower for a joke, right? But your superpower that God gives you, your gift, will come from, most likely, some of your greatest pains and some of your greatest difficulties. So if you're in a season in life where you're going through something, do not turn a cold heart towards God. Lean in because He's teaching you something. He's developing something in you that you need for later on. My struggles academically prepared me for what I do today, and I am really good at it. I say that with great pride. What I'm really good at is taking things that are complicated, spending the time to break them down, simplify them, and then learn how to apply them and get rapid results. Well, I needed that for me. You see, because when I first started out in my career, I wanted to be successful. I came out of a family. We weren't wealthy. I had friends. I knew people that were wealthy, but we weren't. And I'm like, I want to be like that someday. And so me, I define success as money and status. And it took me 40 years, during that journey of 40 years, I learned, God taught me success is so much more than that. You can be successful and never have enough money to pay all your bills all the time. You see, that's another thing that most people are not clear about. What is success? If I asked you what is success, could you define it? Could you go just like I know exactly what it is? And the answer is no. It's like money. How much is enough money? Well, a lot. Well, what is success? I don't know. It's rich. What is rich? I don't know. So I want you to stop and I want you to think about that. What is success to you? Now, here's the thing. It has to be a definition that covers two important pieces. Number one, it must be specific just for you. And number two, it must be something that can be applied anywhere on the planet, no matter what culture you go into. Tough, right? It's not going to listen how simple it is. It's the ability to achieve a desired outcome or a result in one or more of the four areas of life. These are my four pillars. Your finances, your health, your relationships, and your spiritual life. If you will just decide spiritually what is important for you, what is the desired outcome, that's what you work towards to be successful. In my marriage, let me give you an example. I use this term and I teach this, and I don't have time to go into it today, but just you get the principle. I call this trans-affirmations. Transformational things you will say to yourself that will change your life. The Bible tells us to meditate on God's Word because it is the roadmap to life. So where do you think I spend time learning every day? There has to be a standard, right? There has to be a standard. We base governance, we base rules and laws on what? Moral principles. How do we know if a law is right or good? We have to know what good is. What do we term good by? We have a standard. So each and every day, I create standards in my life and I speak things into my life. And when I consult or I coach any individual or a group, I always tell them, be careful what you say. I catch people saying negative things all the time. And I ask them to please just rephrase the way you say things because we can speak life or death. God has granted us that ability to speak into our lives and into the lives of other people. Now, I can prove this. Listen carefully. Imagine if you took, how many people here have children? How many people have heard of children? That was a joke, that was. And my wife said, Ron, they're not going to get all your humor. I understand that. But if you understand, if you took a child from the age of 2, and every day you screamed and yelled and told that child they were worthless, they were ugly, nobody would love them, they're no good, they're stupid. What do you think would happen to that child by the time they reach 18 years old? Would they be a blessing to their environment, or would they be a curse? Yes. Most likely to be a curse, to be a burden to society. But wait a minute, they're just words. If they're just words, well, if words aren't that important, then how could it change a child's destiny? Well, are you beginning to get it a little bit now? Yes. The words you say, the words you will repeat, the words you will think about on a regular basis are forming your ability to succeed in different areas, or they're hampering it. You become the lid, or you can open it up. God gives you the right to do either one. He allows you to be able to speak life into your life. Now, please, no matter how much I speak, I love basketball. I played basketball until about 8 years ago until I blew my knee out. But no matter how much I would have spoken into my life, I had a 2-inch vertical jump. And I would never play in the NBA. It just wasn't going to happen. So there are limitations, but that's not the problem with most people. Most people, our limitations are what we believe and what we are speaking to our lives every single day. So here's what. I went through a divorce many years ago. It was painful. It was horrible. And I thought it was the worst thing in my life until I realized one day that God would give beauty from ashes. And I met my wife. And when I finally went all in with my marriage with her, I decided I will never walk through that again. God did not design me for that. God did not make this marriage for something like that. So here's what I did. I had to create some sort of affirmation in my life that would help me to love my wife more every day. And I can tell you this with genuine humility in my heart. I love my wife more every single day. And it's been that way for like 24 years, 25 years now.
Wow.
I love this woman with all my heart. And I tell her that on a regular basis. But here's one of the things that I've spoken into my life for so many years, and it comes from Paul in Ephesians 5. It says, but I use it, I turn scripture into personal statements. I will love Johanna the way Jesus loved the church. He loved the church so much that he died for it, and I'd be willing to die for my wife. I will die to myself so that I might love her in the way that she deserves to be loved. Come on. Now, the practical implementation. Please get this. No matter what you learn here, no matter what you learn from somewhere else, implement it. I had to actually live by that because I don't know about you, I don't know how you were raised, but in my background, when somebody picked on me when I was a kid, and I couldn't beat them up, they could beat me up, or somebody humiliated me because they were smarter than I was and I wasn't able to respond back, all those protective devices for me, I built a wall. Imaginary wall in my head that says, someday, somewhere, somehow, I'm going to be bigger. I'm going to be stronger, and I'm going to be faster, and I'm coming for you. And that's how I dealt with pain. I built walls. I didn't cry. I didn't get upset. But inside, that you can see behind. In fact, if you ever do it to me now, you can see behind my eyes. Oh, he's building a wall. I ain't mad.
Yeah.
Because I still have that tendency to do that. But God has taught me this. Those walls are never met by Him. He wants me to be vulnerable. We have to experience pain sometimes. I don't go looking for it, but in my relationship with my wife, if we have an argument, and usually how many people realize you have arguments over the dumbest things, right? But we're both mad, and there's that tension in the air. And the Holy Spirit, because I ask the Holy Spirit to help me understand, to walk with the Holy Spirit. He's my friend. He wants to just instruct me and tell me things. And I'm sitting there, and in this just quietness of my heart, I said, get up and go over and put your hand on my shoulder and apologize. God, I don't want to do that. I'm right. She's wrong.
Yeah.
Get up and go. Okay. So I walk over and put my hand on my shoulder and I say, sweetheart, I'm really sorry. And then she does something that just would drive every man up the wall. What are you sorry? Now I'm mad, but I got Jesus help me. And I just look at her and say, I'm so sorry. I responded and reacted the way I should never have done. I love you. Let me tell you something. Proverbs teaches us that soft word will calm a storm. I'm paraphrasing, right?
Yeah.
But just imagine this. When somebody cuts you off in traffic, somebody does you wrong or steals your money or does something. We are not called to bring fire and hail down upon them. We're called to release them, to allow them to experience God's wrath if that's His choice, but to love them and to let it go. And I tell you, I suck at it sometimes. In fact, way more than I like it. But God is calling me to obedience. He's working that out in my life to let go of those things. So I'm going to go back to mindset for a minute.
Right.
The mindset. Listen, I have 7 of these, and I'll never get them done in time, but I've got to a little bit faster. Well, I've already showed you these, the 4 pillars of life for me. Now, there are subcategories of these, but it's your financial world, your relationships, your health, and your finances. I'm sorry, your spiritual life. So it's important to really take a look at those and get clear about what it is you want in each one of them. You define success, in pursuit of excellence. I'll talk about that for a minute. How many here have ever heard of the hotel chain, the Ritz-Carlton? It was the #1 hotel chain in the world for years. Then it got replaced by the #1 hotel chain in the world right now called Capella Hotel Chain. Now the reason I tell you about these two is because I went to the Florida Faith Leadership Conference about 3 or 4 months ago in Florida. And the keynote speaker was a guy named Horst Schultz. Never heard of his name before. When I heard he was the keynote speaker, I had to look him up. He was the co-founder of the Ritz-Carlton Hotels and the founder of the Capella Hotels. Now, here's a man who knows all about excellence. He wrote a book called Excellence Wins. And he was kind enough, I asked him, I said, would you be available for me to interview you? And he was kind enough to jump on a Zoom call, and I interviewed him. And I just said, and also I paid $150 just to sit next to him at breakfast and get to know him for just maybe an hour. It was worth the investment of my money and my time to do that, because here's a man who now I'm going to interview him again in a couple months, but because he's a Christian, I'm going to interview him on a totally different subject about how his faith has interacted with his workplace. Oh, right? I talked to him about excellence before. And so I want to call this into your life. You were not made for substandard existence. Hey! You were not made for poor quality work. You are not made to be lower than anything other than excellence of what God calls you to in life. Hey! I don't care whether you're talking about your relationships, your finances, your health, your spiritual life. You are called to be excellent. Now, here's what I believe as a Christian. And I'm stepping to the side here for a minute. I'm saying, okay, if you're a Christian and you are in the workplace, whether you work for someone or somebody, or you work, or you have other people working for you, you are called to be excellent. You are called to operate in a completely different way than the world sees it. Now, I consult for a company, and I won't name the company. One of the companies I consult for, and I love the owners. There's two owners. I work with one most of the time, and he's a hammer. All he does is hammer, 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 hammer. Right now, so many people quit. One of his main people just quit. And I stopped back. I said, well, you got to tell him. I said, I told him so many times. I'm tired of telling him. I'm not telling him. He's not listening. He's not learning. He's going to have to learn your hand. He just did something that blew my mind. One of the guys in the business, in the company, not a bad guy, terrible at interpersonal communications. Terrible. 9 out of every 10 complaints from every employee in there, most people quit because he's toxic. So what did he do? He drove a couple other people out. And now the owner is trying to reshape things. He's giving him a raise, a higher title, and he's sending him he's going to pay for some of his college to get trained on leadership. Now, I read this email and I'm going, he's got to be kidding me. I spent a year trying to build leadership qualities into him. Totally. No capacity for it. So here's the reality. If you are in business, whether you work for someone or somebody works for you, you are called to be excellent at what you do. If you're going to be a business owner, how you operate to the people underneath you, or if you're in a position, you have people underneath you, how you operate is a clear reflection of how God should be operating in your life. I've made mistakes as a business owner before. Not serious big ones, but I have made them before. If we could all go back in time, we'd probably do things differently, right? From what we know today. But today is the new day. I don't have yesterday. Mm-hmm. And tomorrow yet. You do have today. Mm-hmm. So I can act in excellence today. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to encourage you to step up your game no matter where it's at, because we all have room for improvement. Every day I have to look for areas to improve, and God is showing it to me. He shows me usually through my wife's mouth, so remind me. Those who are married know that. Yes. Hey. Growth mindset. We've been talking about mindset the entire time, but there was a great quote. And if you really want to be encouraged to know how there's a distinguished feature between those who have a growth mindset and those who have a fixed mindset. Okay. Read the book by Dr. Carol Dweck, D-W-E-C-K. It's called Mindset. You can't forget the title. But in there, from a scientific standpoint, she looks at the two different personality types and the fixed mindset. Who do you think gets better results in life? Growth mindsets or fixed mindsets? Growth mindsets. Can we all agree? Yes? Yes. All right, so what's the difference between the two? Well, let me give you a couple of examples. I don't want anyone to raise their hand or indict themselves on this one. But have you ever seen somebody who's prospered and done really well in something and go, I deserve what they did? Yeah, that person's a jerk. They don't deserve that. I can't believe they got that. I didn't get that. They got that. Right? That's a fixed mindset. But, and I've been saying this for so many years, that you surround yourself with certain types of people and you need to eliminate certain people out of your life. And here's one of the rules I use. There's only two types of people in the world when it comes to this. People who rejoice in your success, genuinely rejoice in your successes and your achievements. And those who either placate and say, oh yeah, great, good job, but they just resent you. Or the people who outwardly resent you. I don't choose to be around those people. I have a hard time, because sometimes we don't know who they are. You find out later on the person backstabbing you're talking about is soon as you can't get away from those people, you don't need that in your life. You need somebody who's going to be the wind in your sails, not the anchor around your neck. I've met too many people in relationships, and being a professional coach for business owners, you deal with people, right? You can't separate the person from the business. And sometimes I have to explain to you, you need to get rid of that person, get an anchor around your neck. You need that person as the wind in your sails, who's going to help push you along. So we need to be very wise about the people we choose to be in our lives. And the person who has a growth mindset also looks at this as, you know what? I wasn't born with that talent or that natural gift or ability. I can make it better. I may not be able to play professional basketball, but I can become a better three-point shooter. That's right. I can learn how to cross over. Or maybe I'm not as smart as the person who graduated. The guy, Eric, I was blanking on his last name. He sat next to me in chiropractic college in the first two semesters. Eric was a 4.0 student that took notes a second like this. I'm taking notes, right? I'm studying for hours. Eric just, if I had a question before an exam, I'd ask Eric. You knew the answer. 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road, he wasn't practicing. I was doing really well. Eric was incredibly smart. But then was he able to take that intelligence and apply it as well as I did? Right? So could I get better? I could get better all the time. The growth mindset individual realize you are not limited by your genetics. You limit yourself by other things. We'll talk about that in a few minutes. This one's gonna hurt. This one's gonna hurt. Yeah, the skill set you need and that I need is learning how to manage time. Why? Let me ask you a question. Can you make more money?
Yes.
I only got a couple people who said yes. What are the rest of you think? Can you make more money?
Yes.
Okay, good. Could you find new friends?
Yes.
Why is there hesitation there?
Yes.
There's a lot of things you can do, but can you make more time? No. Okay, so if we're looking at resources, right? Resources that we have in business or in personal life, we can realize that God has given us time and it's finite.
Yeah.
Right? We have an eternity, but we're not talking about that right now. We're talking about finite here while we're on earth.
That's right.
So, most people in business, I've heard this excuse over and over again. And let me give you another principle. Write this down, please.
Wow.
You can either make excuses or get results. Which one do you want? Stop making excuses. Now, can I say something that might hurt? My brother here was telling me before about African time. One of the things I've had to learn over time is that if I don't respect your time or my time, I have a problem.
Very right.
When you have an appointment, I tell a story for a long time. We have a number of historical black colleges in the United States. One of them is called Morehouse, and I learned this principle, I can't tell you how many years ago, maybe 25 years ago. And I've been speaking from stages, and I always tell people, when there's a break, what time are you going to be back? When we start tomorrow, what time are you going to be here? Because I say the Morehouse principles taught young black men, it was mostly black men that went to college back then, they taught them, because you have a disadvantage against your white counterparts, he says, you got to be better. You got to be more excellent. You got to show up early. Because when you're on time, you're early. I mean, when you're on time, you're late. That's what they taught. So they had to excel in the way they did life.
Yeah.
Because they had a disadvantage coming in. Now, I want to point something out here real quick. Let's take that snapshot for a minute. Disadvantage. Yes, sometimes the color of your skin, your sexuality, your faith as a Christian, sometimes the size of your nose, or the lack of hair on your head, whatever it may be, you will look at it as a disadvantage. You can allow it to stop you, to hold you down, to limit you, or you can rise above it. There are so many people that have risen above. Now, I tell the story in, I don't know if I tell this in my book, but I told one of my courses before. Oprah Winfrey, you know, is the first African-American female to become a billionaire. Not the prettiest woman in the world.
Yes.
Right? She was black.
Yes.
Female in a time when in the world of media, you had to be a white male to make it.
That's right.
An older white male, too. Right? First female African-American billionaire. If Oprah would have bought into the stereotypes and bought into the limitations other people were willing to put upon her, she would never be Oprah Winfrey.
Yes.
So how about you? what limitations are you putting on yourself? What things are you allowing to hold you back from achieving everything that you want to stand for?
Come on.
I gotta tell you, you are your own worst enemy. I'm my own worst enemy sometimes. But God did not create us for that. We are all gonna come up against obstacles, all of us. But are these obstacles designed to push you to revert back, to go into obscurity? Or are they there to challenge you, to help you grow, to be for the next level, next season of your life? Okay, so, time. What do we think about? Time is either someone you respect or you don't respect. I've asked so many different entrepreneurs this. They said, well, I don't have time to do that. And I said, you don't have a time scheduling problem, you have a time priority problem. So here's the thing. Here's what will help. When you go home today, stop and think to yourself this. What is the highest priority in my life? Now, I've given you 4 categories. Anybody remember 4 categories? Your finances, relationships, spiritual,
Financial.
that's it then. Health. Right? Your body. So when people say, I don't have time to exercise or work out, what are they telling me? It's not a priority in my life. I don't have time to go to my kids' ball games. Not a priority. We don't have time for vacation. Not a priority. So you have to stop and sit and think about what are my priorities in life. Now, what did I tell you was the first thing I do every day? Pray. I spend time in prayer. I get up and I read my devotional. I teach a Bible study on Friday mornings online. I host a group of young Christian men, because they're all younger than I am, on Saturday mornings. And I'm attending now another Bible study on Thursday mornings, and I do one on Wednesday afternoons. So now I'm studying Scripture all the time, and I'm sowing into my life the things that I want to grow in my life. Because my relationship with God, I don't look at it as 80, 90, 100. Now, my old. How many people decide how old you're going to be when you die? Bring me back to the subject. It means 105. I'm going to teach you something here. You want to learn something?
Yes.
All right, so now, how many people think it's kind of like, isn't that guy crazy? He's thinking about how old he's going to be when he dies? Be honest, how many people think it's a strange question?
Yeah.
Nobody raised their hand. I didn't get it. Nobody raised their hand. All right, so it's 105. All right, so stop and ask yourself this question. If I say, okay, I'd like to live to be 105, do I have a guarantee? No, I don't have a guarantee I'll live to tomorrow.
Yeah.
But what I do know is this. I'm going to do things in my power to stack the deck in my favor. So if I have my goal set where I want to go to, I just reverse the course and I go, okay, what do I need to do today? How do I need to eat today? How do I need to exercise today? How do I need to rest or relax today? How do I need to care for my body in a way that stacks the deck in my favor to make it to 105? That's a principle in life. Whether you want finances to increase, whether you want relationships to get better, whether you want your health to improve, no matter what it is, begin with the end in mind. Work your way backwards and then begin to do today what you need to do. Your time. And someone says to me, they complain about their schedule. I say, show me your schedule. Show me your calendar. And I'll show you your priorities. It's real simple. Because what you don't program in, what you don't plan for, will be missed. How many divorces have happened because I'll speak about husbands, I'll criticize husbands because didn't say I love you enough, didn't spend enough time putting their hands over their wife and praying over them, or didn't spend time with the children, or didn't give that relationship the priority it deserved. Too many times it happens in life. Decide what your priorities are going to be. Get them right. And schedule them in your plan. Schedule vacation. We schedule time together. We schedule our days to go and visit our grandchildren and our kids. We schedule these things simply because if we don't, they will not happen. That's right. I schedule to come here.
Yes.
And I told Denver this. I don't care if one person shows up.
Hey.
One person shows up, that's the most important person that God wants me to speak to every day. If 1,000 people show up, I'll speak to 1,000. So I look at my priorities in life based from a biblical centric standpoint. You may be different, but wherever you choose your priorities, schedule them in, and that will show exactly the people in your life what you're really talking about.
Powerful. Power is not power.
Yeah.
Oh. This is gonna light you up. If I just taught this today, this would be worth, if you paid $5,000 to be here today, this is worth it all. You ready? Yes. This is Life Secret Success Formula. How many people want the formula that will guarantee them success in life no matter what? Raise your hand. Seriously, this is not a joke. Now, here's what I want you to do. I'm going to teach it to you here in a minute, but here's what you can't do. You can't underestimate its powers because of how simple it is. Okay. I'm not going to take you through slides. I'm going to take you through an auditory exercise. So we're going to teach you the formula backwards. I call it ITAR, I-T-A-R. We're going to teach you from the reverse backwards, Hebrew style. We're going to read from the right to the left. R stands for what? What do you think R stands for? If you want greater health, increased finances, better relationships, and stronger spiritual walk, what are they all? What do we consider all those? A result. They're nothing more than a result. Right? Where you're at right now in your spiritual life, where you're at right now in your finances, where you're at right now in your health, and in your relationships is nothing more than a result. But we spend way too much time regretting it, and oh, I'm not where I want to be, and we focus too much on the result. If you don't like your results in life in any of the 4 areas, you got to do something about it. You go back to the letter right before, it's the letter A. What does they stand for?
Action.
Say it again. Action. All right, so let me ask you a more important question. You want to get in better shape?
Yes, I do.
So you buy the best shoes possible to work out.
That's right.
You buy a brand new gym outfit. You go hire the best trainer, and you go to the gym for your first workout, and you work out for 6 hours. You tell the trainer, no, I'm not stopping. You work out for 6 hours, and then you can't move. You say, you know what? This working out stuff is too painful. I'll come back and do it again next month. So you go in the gym once a month. You know, how many people do you get in better shape going once a month? No, so it's not the actions you do occasionally, but it's the small actions, even the larger actions that you will do each and every day. Repeat them over and over again. I tell this little analogy because I find analogies help people. I said, you can be subject to 1 or 2 forces in life. The force and the power of a tornado or the toilet. Let me explain. Small, bad habits, practice, get easier over time. The more you practice them, the easier they get. What happens is they begin to build momentum in your life. They get bigger, stronger, and faster, and they lead to other ones, and eventually, what does it do? It takes you down. But what if you did the opposite? A small good behavior, a small positive behavior in your life, and you implement it, and you did it day by day. It gets easier. And then all of a sudden they get bigger. And then you can add more to it. The next thing you know, you've got this vortex building, and all of a sudden it has the power to move mountains. But it's your choice what actions you will put into your life. So what determines what drives our actions? Begins with the letter T. Think about it. Just gave you a hint. Just gave you a big hint. Think about it. Okay, think about it. Giving you a hint. T. Letter T. Your thought life. Your thoughts. How many thoughts do you have a day? It's been estimated around 60,000 thoughts a day. Different authors will change how many, but still, it's a lot, right? Yeah. And what percentage of our thought life is positive? What percentage of our thought life is negative? Which one do you think is more? Negative. That's been studied by scientists. So if the majority of our thought life is negative, can we do something about it? Yes, we can. Yes, we can. It's not fixed. It's open for change. But you have to believe it's possible. So if you have a healthy thought life, it will lead you to take better actions, which will give you better results. Everybody with me now? Anybody find any violation here? Am I wrong in any way, shape, or form? Your dominant thinking will lead to the actions you take, your dominant actions, which will lead to your dominant results. But here's the key, the letter I. Who knows what I stands for?
Information.
Information's good. What is it? Information, no. What did you say? Information, no. That's not. It's good, but not it. Come on, give me some of the I words. Intense, great. Not it. Idea, really good. Not it. Integrity is great. Not it. Come on, this side slacking over here. We got one person. How about you guys up here? Any choices? Letter I? Implementation is fantastic. Innovation is great. I love playing this game. Because I know the answer and you don't know it. It's so fun when you're a teacher and you made up all the rules. Alright, so R is our what? R stands for? R? Imagination. You tickle me. That's good. R stands for results, right? If we don't like our results, we change our actions. If we don't like our actions, we change the way we think. Right? Our thought life, right? So if we want all those to change, we gotta really work it on. Alright, stop there. Let me give you a hint. How many people here have kids? Again, I'm going back to kids. I pick on kids a lot, right? How many of you want your kids to hang out with all the bad kids in the neighborhood?
No.
How come?
Influence.
Say it! Say it! Say it! Real loud? Your influences. Who you hang out with and who you don't. What books you read or don't read matters. How much time you spend in prayer or taking care of your priorities matters. Right? You, for the most part of your life, you are in control of your influences. If your results aren't right, look at your influences. We watch certain select TV, we got rid of cable news. I stopped watching news in the United States. You think politics are bad here? Come to the United States. It's just as divided. It's crazy. They're actually teaching racism now. Oh, they're teaching it. Oh yeah. They're telling young kids. You know white kids? They're all leaving. They're teaching young kids. White kids, black kids, Hispanic. Like, why are you telling these kids this? Like, it's crazy. We're telling young kids. We have drag queens. Men dress as women going into school reading kids. Like, it's okay. We want you to accept it. We want you to accept it. Now, I'm not condemning drag queens. I love people. God wants me to love them. But I'm not going to condone that kind of pain. And don't go and tell my grandchildren, well, you're a little boy. You don't need to decide whether you're a boy or whatever you want to be. It's crazy what's going on in my country right now. In San Francisco, they passed a law where it said you can steal up to $900-something worth of stuff and you won't be arrested and prosecuted. Videos of people going into drugstores, bags, suitcases, swiping stuff off the shelves and throwing it in there. And there's nobody outside going, wait a minute, let me check that bag out. We swipe all these. No, you're over $900-something. It's insane. So problems exist everywhere. What do we have to change? You can change the laws all you want. They changed the Jim Crow laws in the United States more than a century ago. Prejudice still exists in the hearts of men. Hatred still exists. Sin still exists in the hearts of people. We want to change a nation? Change the mindset. You want black Africans to own their country, own their investments? You got to change the way they think. Change the way they see themselves. Change the way they step up and show up into the world of economy. And that's a challenge from love. Listen, I was given no great advantage. People were smarter than me. People came from wealthier backgrounds. People had more connections than I had. Everything I've had, God has taught me how to work for. And then to compound my results over time. I'm here in Africa as so-called an expert because of the time and the 40 years I put in the trenches. It didn't come overnight. I have tons of friends that joke around and say this, I'm a 10-year overnight success. 10 years, they've labored and they've pushed and they've worked hard. Some people it's longer. Then all of a sudden you see the results. How long was Moses in the desert before he was leading the people out of Egypt? 40 years. I don't want to wait 40 years, but I did. To be where I'm at today. And I'm grateful for it. Because I couldn't speak with the authority if I didn't have the experiences. I run across, and some people have labeled me as a life coach. I said, I'm not a life coach. People can get life coach degrees. They're 30 years old telling people I'm a life coach. I'm like, you're 30. And I get it. I was 30 at once. I thought I knew everything. And then I became 40. And I realized that, hey, I'm not smart at 40 and I wasn't 30. Then I became 50 and I realized how dumb 40 was. See, it's over time you begin to develop experience. Now, I'm going to go back and correct myself. I met 30-year-olds who are brilliant. I met 20-year-olds who are brilliant at what they do. Right? Really smart. But when it comes to life experience, you usually need a lot more life experience. And just because a person's older doesn't mean they have great life experience. It means they could have 60 years of really bad experience, right? You don't want to listen to them. You want to find somebody who knows what they're talking about. There's a curriculum you can study and say, well, I know this curriculum. And then there's the curriculum of life that you get over time. Which one's more valuable? Probably the one from life if you learn, if you're paying attention. So let me go back to the beginning right now. How many people here realize that you can't take the information I'm giving to you and do nothing with it? Because if you do nothing with it, what will happen?
Nothing.
Okay, write this down. Be, do, have. 3 words. And I want you to really lock in on this, because this will change some of your lives, especially the young people. A lot of people think that, and I'm going to give you an analogy. Once I have $1 million, then I'll do what millionaires do and I'll be a millionaire. Isn't that the typical thought process for most people? Once I have this, then I'll do this, and then I'll be this. That's not the way it works most effectively. The way it works most effectively is to become first. Then you will do, and then you'll have. I'll give you an explanation. If I would become a person of integrity, if I would become a loving husband in my mind, if I learn to visualize and I have to have a standard, right? You have to have a standard what that is. If I would become that based upon the standard in my mind, then my behaviors come naturally to that. And then as the product of it, eventually I have the status of an excellent husband. If I will become wealthy in my mind, then I will conduct, even if my bank account says different, then that. Can I prove it to you? Yes?
Yes, sir.
5 of you, that's great. Can I prove it to you?
Yes.
Okay, how many people here have ever woken up from a nightmare? Okay, only 5 of you ever had a nightmare in your life. Right? You ever had a bad dream? Let's make a really bad dream. Right? So, you had a bad dream and you wake up. Most likely your heart's racing, right? And maybe even sweating. Why? It wasn't real. Nothing happened in reality, did it? If nothing happened, why did your body physiologically respond? Because inside of the mind that God made us is that is the deep ability to understand and believe something carries a physiological effect on our bodies. Dr. Caroline Leaf is from South Africa. She's a neurophysiologist and a believer in Christ. And she makes the case out very effectively from a scientific standpoint that your thought life has the ability to literally alter your DNA. Now stop and think about that. How many people who live in unforgiveness and bitterness die of cancer? Now, there's many different causes of cancer, many different causes of diseases. I don't want to just paint with broad brush, but what I want to bring to our attention is this. Our thought life has a powerful impact on the physiology of our body. So if I will begin to read, now it's not about standing in front of a mirror going, I'm a millionaire, I'm a millionaire, I'm a millionaire, I'm a millionaire. That's not it. But it's about understanding, how do millionaires conduct themselves? How do they handle money? If I have $100 in my bank account, and if I spend $150, am I being wise and a good steward of my money? Do you think that's what millionaires do? They'll spend 80, and they'll take 10%. And for us as believers, we should be tithing at least that amount, and then they'll save 10% for the way to invest it somewhere. We talk about investment a lot. The difference between a person who invests and a person who gets a loan, big difference, right? Investors have skin in the game. A loan from a bank, less skin in the game. So investing into yourself on a regular basis is going to be one of the greatest investments you can make. I always tell people, I ask this question all the time, how many people think this coaching program is expensive or it costs you a lot of money to buy this program? They go, oh, yeah, that's a lot. I said, it's not expensive at all. It's an investment. Imagine how much money I had to spend to go to school to become a doctor. And here's the case. Literal case. I borrowed money up until I got into chiropractic college at 7% interest. I didn't have to begin paying that back until I graduated and was finished with school. But while I was in chiropractic college, I couldn't get those loans anymore. I had to go with what's called HEAL loans. Health Education Assistance Loans. They were at prime interest at the time, and they began accumulating interest the day you borrowed money. And every semester, I had to borrow money. And guess what the interest rate was? Throughout the entire time I was building that up. I got out of school. What do you think the interest rate was? 21%. Right now, the interest rates are, everyone's complaining about in the United States for mortgages around 7%. I said, when I got my first house, it was almost 13%. So things change over time, but it's about perspective. Right? So if we want to have more, what must we do? What must we do first? Before we can have more, we must become more. Okay, so how many people here have ever had a to-do list, have a to-do list today, or you've heard of a to-do list? Right? Business owners typically have to-do lists, right? Here's what I would encourage everyone to have. Every single day, have a to-be list. Just wake up and say, here's what I want to be today. I want to be a better business person. I want to be a better husband, a better wife. I want to be a better son, a better daughter. I want to be better at friendship. I want to be better at whatever it is. And you just begin to create a list of what you'll be better at. And then you focus on what does it mean to be better? How do I get better at that? And then your to-do list comes after that. Do lists typically are inferior to to-do lists. So change the way you think, believe first, become that first, and eventually you'll have that. Keep looking at a watch that's dead. I don't know what I keep doing this ever. Okay, so I stand for what?
Influence.
And your influences lead you to what? Thought life. Your thought life eventually impacts your
Action.
and your actions lead to your
Results.
Okay, let me ask you one more question. See if everybody gets it right. Have you been following this formula your entire life? The answer is yes. You have been, you all think. You all have influences. You all have results, and you all have actions. You've been following this, but you didn't own the formula. From this point forward, you are now responsible. I did something really unfortunate. Now you have no excuses. You understand the formula. If you're not getting the results you want, whose fault will it be? Most likely. Most likely going to be you. So now you're empowered. How much time do I have? I probably won't pass my time very much.
5 minutes.
5 minutes. Oh man. Is this stuff good?
Yeah. Very good.
Well, 2 people are enjoying it. That's good. I'm looking for my phone. I don't know what my phone is. Hi. I've been asked this question a lot on some of my interviews. I was asked it just a little while ago when I was being interviewed again. I said, if you could leave us with any one thing, what would it be? And here's the one piece of information that changes everything. This literally changes everything in life. And I'll set you up. How many people are interested in losing weight and getting in better shape? Like, who's interested in having deeper, loving relationships in your life? Raise your hand. Who's interested in having a more robust spiritual walk with God? Raise your hand. What am I missing? So did health, right? Did relationships. Yeah, oh yeah. Who's interested in having more money, financial freedom in their life?
Everyone.
You got bad news? You're not going to get none of it. Hey, you know why? Anybody know why? Okay. How many people have been interested in losing weight and lost some weight? Only to find it again. And sometimes it comes back with friends. Right? We've all been interested. The problem with being interested is people that are interested do what's convenient. The moment you turn from being interested to saying, I'm committed. and you move in the direction of commitment, here's what's going to happen in your life. You wake up every day and you do what you need to do. Listen carefully. But you feel like it. We too often as human beings are driven by feelings and emotions. Feelings and emotions are important and they are valuable, but not in this context. They should not be driving the destiny of your life. Because some days you wake up and you don't feel like saying I love you to somebody. You don't feel like going to the gym. You don't feel like eating healthy. You don't feel like praying. You don't feel like doing the things you know you need to do to get where you want to get. So when your vision of where you want to be is powerful, and you say, I'm no longer interested, I'm moving towards commitment, everything in your life will change. Because commitment will hold you. They'll hold your feet to the fire. Even when it's painful, even when it's uncomfortable, even when you don't want it, you will push yourself to be committed. It is a critical factor in your life. Stop being interested in things that you really want and get committed to it, because everything in your life will change. Guys, thank you so much. Any questions?
My question is, Ralph Neighbor posed a question years ago with the Homesdale Church. Where do we go from here? Somebody's got to do it. Somebody's got to do it. My question is, who are the people that is going to pioneer a revolution in the body of Christ? Because nobody is showing us the way. It's just receive, 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 receive. God is going to bless you. God is going to bless you. God is going to bless you. Who are the apostles of business in Africa? That's why I told you, sir, I'm going to grab your jacket. Because we need people like you. And we need people like Dr. Ron that will take the lead. And Africa is a sleeping giant when it comes to, or let me put it this way, besides being a sleeping giant, this is virgin territory. But the question is, who's going to deal with the virgin?
I honored this invitation to support the youth, to support the church, and to support Dr. Ronnie. In most cases, I'm sorry to mention this, Dr. Ronnie, whenever I'm invited, I'm guest speaker. I can take any position. I'm a humble person naturally. I accept any situation, but it's good that we share the platform. I remember I was called to present in a certain forum in Zimbabwe. And after the presentation, they not to publish, there was media houses that were to have a debriefing after the presentation. They said, no, what you presented is the solution to the nation, but it's not in line with the campaigns of certain political interests and also of intelligence houses. So the debriefing was like that. So we had to reach an agreement that no, nothing will go into the public domain. The whole conference was a write-off because of me. But I'm happy that I presented today and Apostle is saying, well done. Because I can tell you, my institute is the solution for Africa's next chapter. We are the most relevant, I can tell you. When it comes, don't do things which are not relevant to you. You'll be wasting your time. We have no time. And don't move too fast on a road to nowhere. Before you make a move, we have to plan. We have to set up a method, a system. And before we take on that system, we take on that path, we have to be powered by an ideology and a philosophy so that you don't come back. That's what Africa needs. Africa is done with political independence. We need economic independence. We need financial independence. That's what we need going on. We need an economy of our own, mixed with the global economy. We need these foreign investors, but we must have a local content, investments that we own ourselves, companies, products. We need We need to control other markets. We need to be big in America as companies from Africa. We need to be big in China as companies from Africa. That's what we need. So what Apostle is alluding to, what he's saying is, why you are saying you will hold my jacket, you picked the relevance. It's important to be relevant. There is a lot of material on the internet, a lot of material we can tell you, lots of teachers, lots of coaches. But as Africans, we must know what is relevant to us, the next step as a civilization, because we have got a collective problem. Whether it's Troy Masio, whether it's Peterson Zibe Dangote, whether it's Salim in Tanzania, those billionaires, whether it's us on the ground who don't have money, our problem is the same. Whether we are councillors or political leaders are the same, or presidents, our Ramaphosas, our EDs, we are the same because we have got a similar problem. Let me tell you, we've got beggars. Those who stand by the road, asking through the window. You drive by the robot, they knock. May have money, they're carrying children. They are, what's the proper name? Not disabled. What? Handicapped. What's the proper name? I don't know. Yes. So they're disabled, yes. So those people who are begging, even those who are mentally disturbed, they beg. But at the end of the day, they want to benefit, they are begging. It's the same what our presidents are doing. They go to China to beg, they go to Paris to beg, they go to New York to beg, they go to London to beg. So the only difference that they are begging on foot, those on the road. Our presidents are begging from S600 and from a jet, but they are beggars. Exactly the same problem. As a civilization, we are a collective. No one is rich. One must be proud of being rich as an African because they are surrounded by poverty, in a sea of poverty. So we need a collective solution, which is investments, which is away from benefiting. Look, investments go like this. You get investments, you have to be productive to grow the investment. So it's investment plus productivity plus responsibility. So all systems of, including regulatory frameworks and institutional support of responsibility, including standards, so that productivity is continuous. So it's investments, productivity, responsibility is equal to outcome, benefit, distribution. Is that right? So that is the result. So what is happening is that our black governments and our black business people don't want to go to investments, productivity, and responsibility. This part of the equation, they don't want it. They go to equal thing. Our government starts from outcome there, to wait for the outcome of whatever happens in form of tax and so forth. They issue out tenders. Then our business people don't come to investments. They go and apply for those tenders now, to do tenders. They're tenderpreneurs, even in South Africa. That's why we don't have black business people. Yes, they do tenders. So it's a result of a lot of investments, productivity and responsibility. We are not there in that part. We are in the outcome. Our government, our business people, everyone is there. That's why Julius Malema always says, let's distribute wealth. It doesn't say let's invest into wealth, let's produce wealth. It doesn't say that let's take responsibility for the economy. It doesn't say that. Julius Malema, EFF. He is talking about let's distribute wealth created by who invested into that wealth. He doesn't want to get that side. Yet they've got public investment corporation, savings of pension funds in South Africa. That money which is seated down, which is not being used, is 1.4 trillion rands.
Wow.
Unused. Black companies want to take that money and get into production, build up infrastructure and so forth. They are waiting for the outcome of the poor investment, productivity and responsibility of the white race. And then they just go that side to loot that side. That's why I'm saying that as blacks, we must be relevant. I won't waste time on anything that is not relevant to us. I'm not being an activist on that one, I'm being real. I'm 53 years old this year. I may look young, but I was born in 1969. I know where I come from. I know where I've worked. The truth is, we need to be relevant. Apostle, at this stage, Apostle, I'll be straightforward. We need to work together. What I need is people, even if they don't have company with a history of trading. Those who have got companies and those who want to start companies. Those are the people that I need, right? Those who have got companies, big companies, yes, they can come as well, as long as they can swallow their ego. Because you know very well, they talk to me sometimes. Doc, I need to expand my business. Then I say, buy assets. Buy a company in America, buy a company in Brazil. That's how you expand, because you're already a billionaire. Buy companies, don't start from scratch. But let me tell you, I'm not prepared to develop Africa. That is not a rumor. We are telling the truth, a person. They're not prepared. We need a new generation. And then we have access to capital as an institute. We are advising pension funds. We've got access. I've got a database where we take into finances 1,300 fund managers or fund management firms globally. 1,300. We can sign money at any point there. I have not calculated the total of assets under their management, which is the money that is available. I've not calculated that because I don't talk about figures. I want to talk about real stuff. We need to be compatible to those investments. So what I need is business people. My submission, my presentation here is targeting people in the economic dimension, or those who want to get into the economic dimension, who are entrepreneurs, according to the invitation that I got. I was supposed to address on investments. So I'm doing exactly that. Yes, I'm a Christian. I go to Brother in Christ Church. I pray. I loved the presentation from Dr. Ron. So developmental, personal developmental is quite powerful. And you would ask for more from his presentation. It's quite beautiful. I'll go ahead and get a lot of material from him. I'll pay for any material from him. I'll recommend him from any platform, any Christian platform. He is straight to the point. He is gifted by God. You can feel the Holy Spirit as he talks. It's not only the stuff. I'm impressed. Wow. Yes. And the topic investments and industrialization. Okay. I can give you a good example. When a politician starts a political party, his aim is to win the majority of seats and form a government and become a president. That is his highest achievement. Heading UN, heading other things is a bonus. But his highest achievement is to head government. When a business person starts a company, his aim is to grow that company from small, medium, corporate size. And his highest achievement is when he comes together with other business people. They buy a farm and then build their head offices, headquarters in one neighborhood and create a city. That's a civilization. So when business people handle investments, we help them with systems of geo-economic development models, whereby these people get our investments. They build in one neighborhood. Very beautiful, futuristic buildings, scenery buildings, tourist attractions buildings, and they form new cities. That's how you create a city. A new city is never developed by government. It's developed by investments and entrepreneurs and enterprises. So I'm not here to just say get investments and go home and be alone. No, we are driving into a final destiny of creating a proper civilization. And Africa does not have that. Africa has got infrastructure deficiency amounting to $300 billion a year for the next 50 years. So we have got the figures. We've got a problem. stand up, cover those gaps. What we need is entrepreneurs, prospective entrepreneurs. What was products are there, markets are there, like I told you in the presentation. Intelligence is there to protect you. So I need proper business people. I need people who want to get into proper business as well. That is very important. Any person, a person that you know who owns a business, it will be good that we take them forward. We take them forward, whether they belong to the church. They will have a proper business, because once you get investments, you do not pay back. It's an investment. And revenues are yours. Yours is just to declare the dividend. So you've got higher revenues. The tithe to the church blossoms quite a lot. It becomes big in terms of finances. The church benefits a lot. So they must come for the systems. All our workshops are called the systems implementation. Implement systems practical. We do that. And it's not many workshops, it's just systems implementation on enterprise creation and economic development. That's one. Then the one that is running, the second one is called systems implementation, strategic deal structuring. Right, only two. That's ones that are running now. But from there straight away you access pension funds. That is why Dr. Sham was here talking to me. It was on the same principle that I had to Dr. Mhlope, you are the one who's charging pension funds. So what's the way forward? We need that. Then, yeah, that was his communication. So it's about Africa, not about us here only. I repeat again, it's about Africa. Africa is not productive. We have 54 countries, 1.2 billion people, and our gross domestic production, the 54 countries, is only 2.7 trillion. The whole of African economy, 50, including South Africa, Nigeria, Egypt, Morocco, and Algeria, inside, we are producing 2.7 trillion a year. Japan alone, one country, is 5.4 trillion a year. So we are half of the economy of Japan. So there must be something wrong with us. What I liked about Dr. Ron's presentation, he said, you say, I'm interested in this, but I'm committed to this. Is that right? He spoke about results, going back, action, going back, thought process, and influence. Is that right? And going back, influence, thought process, action, and result. Is that right? I want those who come to our workshops, that concept works very well, that they stay in the economic dimension and go to the social dimension to ask power from God and get guidance from God, get morally straight and upright from God. That is the church. From the church, you go to the economic dimension. Otherwise, politics is oversubscribed. It's 200% of both sides. The mind is determined by politics, and politics is a rough game. I can tell you. So we need to strengthen into the economic dimension and get the power from the Lord. He's our creator. Thank you so much.
Whenever I use a mic, I feel handicapped because I have to wave both arms in the air. But I'll save my voice. And the question is absolutely a perfect question. I'm going to just take a little bit of a different tack than you did because you have a greater perspective on the continent of Africa and to your country. I don't. But what I do have is a perspective on you, and you, and you, and you, and you, and you, individually. And all I can say is that when I wrote my book, The Unstoppable Christian Business, 7 Steps to Your 7-Figure Business with Purpose, Passion, and Profit, I wrote purpose, passion, and profit in that order for a reason. If you have a purpose first, and I'll call it God-given purpose. God raises up individuals and gives them a vision saying, here's what I want you to do. Not enough people are responding to the vision. They're not listening. Africa is no different than anywhere else in the world. We just might be, in the United States, maybe further ahead than you are in time, not in ability. You have the ability in this country, but it begins with you. You must make the decision to say, I'm going to enter into the marketplace. I'm going to make a difference, because here's what happens. One person in a household can change that household. One household can influence 10 Those communities can change the countries and the nation and the continent of Africa. But you have to step up and say, I'm not waiting on the government. I'm not waiting on my pastor. I'm not waiting. It's time for me to listen to God, and time for me to raise my level of behavior up and step into owning my responsibility to be excellent at what I do. If God calls you into the marketplace, then it's your responsibility to handle that with the full responsibility. You hit things right on the head. If you don't govern yourself, I also consult with another company that is, the guy's from Australia. He lives in the Philippines because it's much cheaper for him to do his business there. And he's launching this incredible platform for business owners called Strategy X. And the thing I love about it is we just think in the same way, because my entire coaching program is based on systems and processes, right? When I wrote my book, I addressed the Christian church. When some people say, well, I'm a Christian, and it's just good enough for me to believe that God will bless my business, but we see that their business isn't blessed economically, right? And I say, my first question to them is not about their faith, it's about their systems and processes. If you don't take the time to learn how to build good systems and good processes and hold people accountable to it, and then perform with excellence, I don't know how you're going to make it in business. It's independent of that factor. Now, having faith is incredibly important, and I'm not putting that. That's the first ingredient for me. But without the systems and processes, there's going to be a problem. Right? So one of the two main concepts we talk about at Strategy X is operational excellence. You have to have operations and systems and processes that perform in excellence. And then you have to have world-class execution. And the challenge for most companies is, even if they have the first, they don't have the execution portion of it down. So getting into the change of how to make companies greater in Africa begins first with taking on responsibility, one person at a time, then getting the systems, processes, and all the things you need to know how to grow and sustain a lively business and know how much impact you're making on the people around you. I always ask people to do two things. Wake up every day and ask two questions. If not now, when? If not me, then who? If you ask those two questions, it puts you in a sense of urgency. If I don't respond, if I don't take action, if I don't do it, when will it happen? Who will do it? If you're waiting for another country, and right now it seems like what you told me, you've been too dependent on other countries to come in, and it's not a win-win situation all the time. In business, it's got to be win-win. And it's time for, and I'm going to say globally, for the African people standing up for you, and I'm an outsider. If you don't stand up and say, hey, if it's not a win-win, we're not doing it. Whether you like it or not, Donald Trump came into presidency and said this: the trade agreements that we allow our corrupt politicians to form are not in our best interest. We're getting screwed, and I'm going to renegotiate everything. He was looking out for his country. Africa, do the same thing. Zimbabwe, do the same thing. You as an individual, if you're going to run and own a business, do the same thing. Rise up, run a good economic business. If it's not a win-win, don't do the deal. Everybody's got to win in it. Any other questions on here? I don't know how much time we have. Does anybody have an individual question? And no questions or comments for me, other than how did I lose my hair, because I have no answer for you. Nobody else has a question? This is the time to get your questions answered. All right, I'll turn it back over to Dr. Phillip. Awesome.
Let's clap hands for our two excellent presenters who have come to the end of our session. I think it's been such a blessing. I believe you got something.
Yes.
I think you got something.
Yes.
So we want to clap 4 hands for Dr. Kumulani. Amazing presentation. Dr. Ron Eccles, thank you so much. Let's clap